o'clock on a Monday, and you know what that means. It's time for another exciting episode of Taxi TV Live. Yeah! Woo! The almost New Year's Eve edition, featuring our special guest, Miss Suzan Koch. Yay! Welcome back.
Thank you.
And welcome, audience, and hi.
Hi.
I love having Suzan on the show because I have to work so little. And frankly, you know what? We have several guests, maybe many guests, where I learn a lot, but I learn so much from you. You make me better. So if you're making me better, you're making them better. And
thank you.
yeah,
Thank you.
You have, I've said it before, she has like X-ray vision. She can see layers or depth, it's like multi-level chess with Suzan. And she here, I'll refresh you got it in the email today, but she's held creative positions, high level ones, at Warner Chappell France, the New York office of Hit and Run Music, the LA office of Hit and Run as its creative director. Then she was at BMG Music Publishing as the VP of Writer Development, and eventually she became the VP of Creative in 2008, or VP of Creative. Period. I missed a period there. In 2008, Suzan started the Songwriters Rendezvous, which is a 6 week course that if you live in LA, you come to her place and do it live. If you can't, you do it on Skype. And she gets a group of writers together every week, once a week. What night do you guys meet on?
Actually, it's expanded. It's Monday nights and Wednesdays during the day. 11:30 to 2:30. Basically, when there's demand. People were like, "Can you do it in the afternoon?" And actually, my Wednesday starting on January 21st is almost full.
Wow. Okay. So I'll remind you guys again, and we'll give you the web address and everything. But my daughter Hannah worked with Suzan for, I don't know, a period of a couple of months or so, half a year ago, and I watched Hannah go from being pretty good to really damn good, and she gets a lot of the credit for that. So
thank you.
I can personally attest. And in 2013, the spring of 2013, she joined us on our A&R team, and she has been such an incredibly valuable member of the A&R team. And also at the Road Rally, she is super, super popular because she spends a lot of time hanging out with the members, giving of her own time, and basically, let's share a glass of wine in the bar and talk about your music. And she'll stay there till like 4 o'clock in the morning hanging out with members. So she's very popular, and just like I said, she can see layers in that almost the rest of us just would never think of. She can see it instantly, so it blows my mind. So what we're going to do today is we're going to listen to one song at the top of the show like we do now. And frankly, I would have done 4 or 5 songs because she's so talented that I would love to get your input on a bunch of stuff. But we are slammed around here at Taxi World headquarters. Just the last week or so, we had somebody out on vacation for a week. Somebody else left the staff about 10 days ago. And we were very shorthanded, and we were all scrambling like crazy. Yours truly was even answering phones. My wife came in. She's sitting out the front desk right now doing data entry. So we've been very, very busy. And today I just couldn't impose on Sophia to go find 5 songs for the show. So we're doing one as we would normally do. Then I'm going to ask Suzan some questions. Then you're going to ask Suzan some questions. And then, let's see. Oh, I didn't even tell you this. I should tell you this stuff, but I'm going to give away a half-hour one-on-one Skype with you.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, nice of me to ask you.
I'm delighted. I'm delighted.
I figured anybody who shows up on a holiday week like this, where everybody's kind of off doing something else, if they show up today, they should have a chance at getting half an hour with you, which is worth its weight in gold. So one of you lucky people watching, and let me get the chat room open, one of you is going to win just precious half hour with Suzan. So let us begin. Hello, guys. I can see all the regulars in there. Let's see. We've got Scott Hansen, Guitar Guru Mike. Adrian's there. Hi, Adrian. Papa Craw, Fun Songs. Amanda, Steve Giles, Bubbles. Wow, the regulars. Russell. All the regulars and some new folks. And you know what? We had, I think it was Tuesday of last week. We had more joiners on Tuesday of last week than any other day in the company's history. And I've been strongly encouraging our new members to watch Taxi TV. So if you are watching today and you're a new member, you are in for a treat. Hi, Waddy. You'll see. This is what makes Taxi TV so wonderful. You guys get to learn so much at the feet of the true masters. So, hey, Juliet. Okay, so let's get right into the song. And this song is called Say It, Say It, and it is from Scott Free and FM Cozy. They work together a lot, and Scott says in his letter, I grant you permission to rip my song to shreds on Taxi TV. Thank you for that, Scott. FM Cozy and I wrote this song for some current listings with a Megan Trainor title and all about the bass vibe. After completing, there's some concern that our song could be considered too close, though most 50s influence songs borrow from the same 4-chord variations. So is the song too close, and is the song any good? So with that in mind, let's have a listen, and thank you guys for sending a lyric sheet. That makes Susan's job much, much easier.
Much easier.
You've got a pen, you got paper, you got water. We are good to go, and let's have a listen and see what we think. Come on.
Well, I know you love me. You show me all the time. The way you hold my hand in yours, you lock your eyes with mine. I tell all my girlfriends that you like romantic stuff. You light some fragrant candles low and turn the music up. And when it's late at night, you put a smile on my face. You know just how to touch me in the sexiest of ways. So don't you think it's time you open up and make it real? Give me those 3 little words, tell me how you feel. So come on and say it, yeah, you wanna say it, why don't you just say it, let me hear you say it, yeah, you wanna say it, why don't you just say it, so come on and say it, let me hear you say it. You send me roses, not just on Valentine's. You like to buy me lingerie, your black lace perfect size. You get pillows fluffy, ready for my pretty head. You wanna make things special when you lead me up to bed. Now when it's late at night, you put a smile on my face. You know just how to touch me in the sexiest of ways. So don't you think it's time you open up and make it real? Give me those 3 little words, tell me how you feel. So come on and say it, yeah, you wanna say it, why don't you just say it, let me hear you say it, yeah, you wanna say it, why don't you just say it, so come on and say it, let me hear you say it. Well, I know that you love me, baby, but there's something that's missing daily, and it kinda makes me crazy. Ooh, 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 ooh. There's something about a lover who can whisper it to the other, over and over under the covers. Ooh, 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 ooh. And when it's late at night, you put a smile
All right, and that was Say It, whoops. That was Say It by Scott Free and FM Cozy. What are your impressions?
It's unbelievably hooky. It's a great hooky, catchy song. It's very dynamic. There's so many parts. It's really, I mean, the melody is spot on. But
that's all right. He wants to be ripped to shreds. Although she doesn't do it with malice, she does it with love.
So as far as the Meghan Trainor reference, it's off the mark because it only incorporated the 50s. It didn't incorporate 2014, sorry. I'm like 15.
That's all right. I lost 3 or 4 years back in the 70s too.
So there's, it should have been put on top of contemporary beats. The beats are missing. So it became a singer-songwriter version of Meghan Trainor. It's nor here nor there. So it's very important that when you go retro, that you take a couple of retro elements and that you anchor it in today.
Which would give it a lot more usability.
Which would give it a lot more usability. That is for sure. There's one thing melodically that left me a little frustrated. I wish that the melody of the first line of the pre-chorus, when it's late at night, you put a smile on my face. Can you replay it if we can find it? There. And when it's late at night, you put a smile on my face. You know just how I would have loved to have that line repeated. It just goes melodically just to create a hook. And when it's late at night, you put a smile on my face. And when you no. Just a little variation, and I would have taken and when it's ba to create a hook in the pre-chorus.
Right.
Because the song has only one hook, which is Say It. That is actually oversaid.
Okay.
It got a little lazy after a while. It's 8 times say it, say it, say it, say it.
Would you cut it in half or
no? It would have been come on, say it, say it. Yeah, I know you want to say it, say it. Why don't you just something else it.
Do it.
Do it. Yeah, let me hear you say it.
as long as it's got kind of a sexy inference anyway.
Exactly. And just to play with the say it and not repeat it 8 times. Because it went from being hooky to feeling lazy.
Okay.
So I would have crafted that a little more. Not like replace all of them, and because if every line had a different, like say it, do it, tell it, it would have been too Then it would have been, you don't want to craft it too much.
Yeah.
But 8 times I got a little boring. But I would have created a hook sooner.
Let's listen to the full B section or the Beavers pre-chorus. Shoot.
Now when it's late at night, you put a smile on my face. You know just how to touch me in the sexiest of ways. So don't you think it's time you open up and make it real? Give it a thrilling word. Tell me how you feel. So come on and say it. If you wanna say it. Why don't you just say it? Let me hear you say it.
So is it that you would resolve the melody on the last word of the last line differently on that Beavers?
No,
What would you?
I know it's a great lift, but that it's very rich. It's a very dynamic part. But the when it's late at night, on a smile upon my face. That was such a sweet spot.
Yeah.
I wanted to hear it again. And when no, and maybe just not make it grow so fast. Stay a little closer to that, just to create a hook, because there are no hooks on the verses.
Mm-hmm.
The pre-chorus, you need a hook. In today's market, you need to get that hook within the 30 seconds of a song.
That was one of my questions I was going to go to later, so we might as well talk about it now. We've become such an ADD, instant gratification laden society, probably because of computers and the internet.
Everybody's doing music became background, no matter. I mean, whether we like it or not.
So you've got to keep them hooked at every stage of the song.
Yes, and give them something to join in the song.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't join in the song until say it.
Right.
So that's why when it's late at night, you put a smile upon my face. And when it's early morning, you bring breakfast in bed. I don't know. I'm just...
I found the melody, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it.
Nothing wrong with it.
But it's predictable. You knew where it was going to go before it went there, having, never heard it before, which can be a good thing because familiarity leads to adoption. But I see your point. It's really well taken. It's a missed opportunity to take it to the next level.
To take it to the next level and give a hook sooner. Because when you look at the songs in the charts, I mean, the hooks come in so early, and there's so many.
Yeah.
Right now, we only have one hook in the song.
Right.
And then on the bridge, the I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. But same, it's so repetitive that a few like lyrical hooks, even in the verses, always help. But I'm not going to push it there. That when I heard it, I really wanted that to repeat. I wanted something where I wasn't constantly on the ride, that I could just glide on the song, and that was a sweet spot.
What if it were a duet where the guy was answering what she's saying in the first verse, and you had a male voice come in, possibly even as like a featured rap, but maybe not, but have a guy come in and respond to what she's saying, because guys don't want to say it. I mean, guys don't want to say I love you. We're not as emotionally driven as women are. And maybe you have a guy playing off of that, being resistant, and then she goes, oh, come on, just say it, say it, say it. Just throwing that out. You don't like it. That's okay.
The problem with duets is that they're so much harder to market.
Right. Less possibilities.
Less possibilities.
Yeah. Okay. The chorus on this, I couldn't help. I made a note saying the chorusness would be great for like a mobile phone commercial. Anything to do with telecommunications. Say it, say it, say it. 1-800-Flowers would be great for that.
The chorus is a great chorus. I just would have like shaped it up so it's not as maybe the third line and the sixth line do something else, just to so it doesn't feel lazy, that it feels crafty. However, the rest of the song is so specific. I would have liked to know why she's missing the saying it.
Okay.
It's all the verses. It's like, you see, the verses is, well, I know you love me. You show me all the time. The way you hold me, lock the eyes. I tell my girlfriend, you do all the romantic stuff and all that.
He's a pretty good guy.
And then when it's late at night, you put a smile on my face. You know how much you touch me. And then it's like, but give me those little words. It didn't build up the chorus. It's really established that the guy loves her, but it didn't establish her need to hear the words.
Right.
So
not strongly enough. It infers
basically it would be nice to, if on the verses is like, you do all this, but I don't know if I'm the only one. There's none of the insecurity that was put in any of the verses. So when you don't have the insecurity and you bring the chorus says, say it, we're like, why? It doesn't feel like
actions speak louder than words.
There isn't a doubt. in
Ooh,
the
see
girl's
that's
mind.
that's the X-ray part of her.
There's no doubt established in the verse to make the say it feel urgent.
And you know what you've said a million times to me and our viewers on the show, and you've said it at the road rally, everywhere you go, tension and release. Well, there's no tension created because it doesn't have that element of what you're talking about, which is he's given it all away.
Exactly.
Leading up to it, there's no like mystery. What is it that you want him to say?
There is no cause effect or effect cause relationship between the verse and the chorus.
So what would you do on a rhythmic level? Because I listened to it just to make sure that it was actually playable before you came in today. And I immediately had that same thought, which is really cute, really catchy, has so many possibilities, and it's almost there. But it would be so awesome if they had some really cool sounding. I tend to think more of an engineer, like an engineer and producer. And I was thinking there was like a shaker sound, like beads on a gourd, whatever you call those things, that was on Colby Calais' record that Michael Blue did with her. That was just this awesome woody sound that was right there and in your face. I'm thinking, okay, I would have something like that with a bigger kick drum, definitely more percussive.
This is a singer-songwriter's production. So it's with those shakers and all that. It's not a pop. It has nothing to do with Meghan Trainor.
Right.
This
it doesn't
would be
have
off target.
The big bass. It doesn't have any sort of drop or synth or anything.
Exactly. It's really, as I say, the chorus itself is money. So the other problem I have, sorry, Scott and FM, but you asked for it.
You did.
Your verse 2 is saying exactly the same things as the first one. It's just different examples.
Yeah.
We just came out of let me hear you say it, say it. At one point, we need to address the girls need to hear it. It's still not addressed.
Without writing the song for them, that you are a woman, what would a woman typically say in a fresh, unusual, maybe never been heard, and I know I'm really putting you on the spot here, but how might a woman say that?
I'm not gonna go to the fresh place. I'm gonna go to the obvious place just to show the emotional thing. And I'm not a songwriter.
Hard to believe, ain't it?
It would say, okay, you show me and say it, say it. I mean, you can go to I would go to the you think actions speak louder than words, but I need the words. I need something to hang on to. I need to hear it from you. I need to capture that voice in my head. I want to make it forever a memory. I don't know. I'm going to corny places here.
You could even make it so contrasty by she could relate it to other guys that she's broken up or walked away from. Other guys have gotten to this point. They haven't said it. You know what I mean? So you're about to be on that long list of guys who failed, and you need to be the one that...
Exactly. Yeah. Say, I'm a girl. I need to talk. I need that connection. I need the words. The words mean so much. I mean, but you want to bring that. You want your chorus to matter. And in order for your chorus to matter, everything in the song needs to support that chorus, needs to lead to it.
It's not just killing time till it gets there.
Exactly.
You know, do you guys remember the book? I think his name was Dr. John Gray, and he wrote a book probably 10 years ago or more called Women Are From Mars, Men Are From Venus. Do you remember that?
I remember that book.
I remember reading that book many years ago when Deb and I were in the early stages of our marriage, and she used to come home from work just livid at what coworkers had done and how frustrated she was. Sorry, honey, I hope you're not watching the show. And I would say, well, why don't you say this or why don't you do that? I'm looking at everything from a guy, we fix stuff. We're hunter-gatherers and fixers. So I would come back with concrete answers because I run a business. This is what I would do with my staff. And she would get so frustrated with me. And finally, one day, she articulated which was exactly what was in that book. And she said, I don't need you to fix anything. I just need you to shut up and listen. I just need to vent. And yesterday morning, there was an issue we were discussing, a marital issue, not a big blow up or a problem, and that came up again. So maybe there's a way of incorporating that in there. I don't know, but read that book if you guys want some genuine insight into how women think differently than men and men think differently than women. I strongly recommend that you read that book, and you could probably use it as inspiration for songs. It's called Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, I believe, something like that. John Gray.
It's yeah. So, but the song is very hooky. As I say, the chorus is the melody. It's very nice. It just could be. It's just falls a little short of the emotional impact. The words are well written. When I look at it with my brain, it makes sense. But emotionally, I'm not feeling that urge. Because when we, as listeners, we connect to the eye of the song. Mm-hmm. We connect what they're saying. It's like, oh my God, I felt that. Right now, I'm like, say it's not, it's almost like when I read it, it's like, well, you know, he's doing everything. He's obviously in love. You know he's in love. Why do you need to hear him say it? And that's the essence of the song, and that's the only thing that hasn't been addressed. Need.
She could say action, you've done all this great stuff, and yeah, actions do speak louder than words, but I need you to say it.
But I need you to say it. I need to hear those words. Actions are actions, and actions are easy.
Really?
And I don't know. I'm just bringing them. It's
I want to take a vote with the guys. Are actions easy? Hey, I have a question about this. Do you hear this as a radio and record song, or do you hear it as a film and TV song? Do you hear it as a commercial song?
Commercial song for the chorus. For film and TV, too specific in the verses.
Okay.
And for a pop song, not emotionally connected and not enough hooks.
What if you Gwen Stefani-ized this? The chorus, if it had a really cool rhythm track to it, I could hear Gwen Stefani doing the chorus, but it would have to be a really super forward-thinking production underneath it to make it work. It couldn't be like, this is like ukulele and megaphone almost.
The heart is missing. Mm. The heart is missing. The lyrics are too factual. They're not... there is no emotional urgency in the song.
So which way would you... What's their highest probability path to success with this, incorporating everything that you've said? Do you think they should keep film and TV in mind, commercials in mind, or radio pop in mind, and make their decisions based on that path, or am I getting too cerebral?
Well, we can sit and discuss about the track, whatever, until the track is there and it sounds slamming. It's
right.
It's a very long shot.
Yeah.
I would go. The song is written. I would honestly maybe craft a little more the chorus and aim it for commercials.
Okay.
For film and TV, yeah, too many specifics.
Okay.
Too many specifics.
The chorus, I mean, the commercial almost writes itself on the chorus, because you could definitely see, a girl on the phone with her fuzzy slippers talking to her boyfriend. Come on, say it, say it, say it. They're not necessarily in the same room. I don't know. Anyway, hey, Scott, you're in there somewhere, right? Did this make sense? Was it helpful? I know there's a little delay. I saw... who was it that I saw? Scott Hansen said I could listen to Suzan all night long. I agree. I mean, literally, I have had nights where like Deb and the kids were off at some, girls only school thing or something, and for whatever reason, Suzan popped in my head, and I thought, yeah, I should grab a bottle of wine, head over to Suzan's place, and we could talk songwriting, because I could listen to you all night. You just amaze me. Michael, do you ever use a split screen? Oh, Scott Free. Sorry, I'm going to grab that. Scott Free says yes. It makes sense a bit. I'm filling in some words there.
Okay, Scott, don't understand the hook concept. The hook concept is something, it's the gift you give the listener. It's something that they can sing along with it. So sometimes when you structure, and I'm just, when it's late at night, you put a smile upon my face. And when it's early in the morning, you bring breakfast in bed. Bad lines, but that creates the hook. It's something that you say a little differently that people can sing along, because structurally it's identical and you can go. A hook is something that's either repeated that people can say, or it's a very well-known saying or phrase that people immediately can sing along because it's familiar.
It could be 4 notes of melody on a guitar or a keyboard.
It could be 4 notes of melody. It can be
a rhythmic hook, but in this case, you're talking about the whole
lyrical, and the lyrical hook is also very important. The Maroon 5 is great. They start with hooks in their intros. In their verses.
They'll do a hook in their intro, like a musical hook, a 4-note guitar thing.
And lyrically, usually their first 2 lines are in the same structure, and it just makes it a place where you can where it's familiar to the listener, where the listener at the second listen can sing along with.
Oh, absolutely. What about using a vocal phrasing hook? This is fairly linear. Everything is kind of on the beats and expected. What about the possibility? I'm not very good at executing this or explaining it, but starting stuff on the and. Or what about like a sampled say it. That may be
these
overused,
are all production issues. It would. I don't need more hooks on the say it's. Okay. It's there's enough say it there. It was other plays. See, maybe like if Maroon 5 were writing this song, it would be, well, I know you love me. I know you show me all the time. They would have a little I know repeat. The way you hold my hand in yours, the way you lock your eyes in mine. That would have created another hook. You have the way, I know. I mean, without getting too formulated.
But that also adds to the rhythmic quality of it, too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Cool. That's pretty deep thinking. And look, I've known a lot of publishers in my day, a lot of A&R people. A&R people in particular very rarely can articulate stuff like Suzan does. Some of the better publishers, I would say, are in her ballpark, but she may be the best at articulating, ideas off the cuff like this. So you are hearing from the Obi-Wan Kenobi.
So I'm talking, Scott, I'm talking about a lyrical hook and also melodic hook. They kind of go hand in hand. You need them both. And yes, earlier you said it's not just about a catchy melody. No, it's not just about a catchy melody. Because in today's world, if you haven't noticed, the main instrument is the beat. It is a percussive musical landscape. The words are percussive, they're syncopated, they're rhythmic. So you need to get that rhythmic hook as well.
Okay. So let's move on. I want to ask you some other questions. So how have things changed for the craft of songwriting from where it was in the last 2 decades to where it is now? Because I've seen the biggest shift in songwriting technique, construction, arrangement, production, everything seems to really, it's kind of going along on an incline, and then all of a sudden it just kind of went up in the last year or two. Are there any obvious things that you can point out that you feel were like landmark changes that have happened that people who might be stuck in the 90s?
Oh, yes. Um, it's a percussive. The voice used to be a violin. It used to be very melodic. Now it's rhythmic.
Okay.
So the closest instrument to a vocal is the piano.
Okay.
It's not the violin. The big voices, they still need to be able to incorporate rhythm. You can't just be the violin. There are way less chord changes, but way more melodic changes. For that, how dynamic Scott's song is, Scott and FM's song is, it's very that is very contemporary. It's very dynamic melody.
Okay.
Yay.
I caught a little bit of a Pink concert last night, and she did a song that she co-wrote with, Butch Walker, who I idolize Butch. I think he's one of the most talented guys in the business today. Uh, and I noticed that about their stuff. I mean, you almost lost the rest of the band in between the rhythmic stuff he was doing on the guitar and her vocal intertwining with it. It was to be, I stood there in awe.
It's yeah, it's she's great. Yeah. She's great. It's funny. She's never been nominated for Grammys.
I don't get
always bypass, and she's gonna probably get like in 20 years in the Grammy she shouldn't get, but people are gonna say, okay, we need to make up for it.
Yeah. Yeah, and she's unstoppable, and she's always changing and pushing her own envelope.
Yes. The other thing about contemporary songs is ABAB doesn't work anymore.
Okay, so what does?
It's got to be AABC, ABAC. It's like every 3-4 lines there needs to be a shift, so it's dynamic. Because the ABAB worked when there were so many chord changes that you needed to keep the vocal a little flat, because that created tension. Now it's reversed. You need to keep your chord, when the chords are simple, you need to create the tension with very rich melodies and dynamic melodies.
My family has been so ruined by myself and our daughter Hannah constantly judging songs and critiquing them and rearranging them when the four of us are in the car going somewhere. We're coming back from my wife's family has like a family gathering with everybody from all over the country every year between Christmas and New Year's. And we were in Orange County yesterday, driving back last night on the freeway, and we were listening to something. And Deborah, my wife, who hasn't been in the music industry other than listening to me all these years, we heard an AA song, and she said something like it should have gone to the chorus there. It's really hard to pull off an AA, because you've got to be really smart to make that to have two verses back to back.
Oh no, I'm not talking about verses. I'm talking about lines here.
Okay.
A B.
Okay.
That's like.
But you mentioned AA, and I don't think you were talking about Alcoholics Anonymous.
No, I was talking about lines, not sections. I agree. Okay. 2 verses back to back.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works. It's if the words, you know what? It's if the words are there and the verses are short enough.
Yeah.
It works. I'll always say if you double the verse top of the chorus, bottom of the chorus, keep it single and then go straight back. But your pre-chorus needs to be your pre-hook. It's not just a lift.
So you're saying if you do a double verse, a double A section, now we're walking away from the A line back to full verses.
If you do verse 1, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, your verses better be. It happens. I mean, when you look at Sarah Bareilles' Brave, she doubles that verse. But there's something very dynamic in the whole the lines don't really repeat. There's just so much movement that when she comes back to it, it doesn't feel like you just heard it.
Right.
Because there's so much going on in that verse.
I'm trying to hear the song in my head, because some people will actually use a refrain, which I've seen happening now, where they'll do a verse and a verse, but they throw in a one-line refrain to finish
This doesn't
off
have a this doesn't have a refrain. And then it goes to the pre-chorus. That's just so
wow. And it makes you wait a while, so it's got to hold your attention.
That's the thing. I mean, you really want to like listen to songs and just analyze the chord melody relationship, how the lyrics are done. Also, it's always good to look at what lyrics look like.
You mean physically on paper?
Physically on paper.
I think that you and other publishers, people like Robin Frederick, some of the great songwriters I know, can look at stuff on paper and see where the flaws are without ever hearing the song. I don't know that skill set has been developed by a lot of people. I can see stuff that pops out that looks obvious to me, but I can't do it at the level that you do it. So you should be a record producer.
I'm not that articulate with sonics. And
then work with a great engineer, but you have a lot to offer. Do you think that pro writers who've always written for radio and records now have a little voice inside of them saying, keep the lyric universal, go with a shorter intro? In other words, film and TV pitches, even for pro writers that have traditionally done radio and records, a lot of their opportunity has been taken away from them.
True.
Because they may not be in a writing camp or whatever reason. So now they're thinking in terms of film and TV. I've met very few that will admit that they've got that little voice talking to them about film and TV when they write. Do you have any experience or observations about that?
Usually they're not good at film and TV writing. It's it's different people.
Right.
It's different people, it's different talents. And when people are very articulate with, they can be so detailed and come up with lines like the taste of your cherry chapstick.
Right.
That makes a great song, is to throw in the visuals.
Yeah. But it doesn't work with film and TV because it takes out the universality.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they'll still try to pitch. They'll still try to, could you use it for radio source, and sometimes it will be.
Right.
But I find that most like pop songwriters are not good with film and TV stuff. Because they find the song that it's not standalone. And it's not. It needs the visual.
I found the guys in Nashville many years ago. I went to Nashville and I had a private meeting with maybe 20 pro songwriters. And they were clueless about film and TV and how to write songs or instrumentals, mostly songs for film and TV. And no matter how I tried to explain it to them, it's like, what? Because they've been trained.
As far as they're concerned, it makes a bad song.
Yeah. Oh, and it's the exact antithesis of everything they've been taught, which is, relatable story, conversational lyric, and tons of visual detail where you can feel and hear the wood creaking, the splintery floor creaking under your feet as you walk into the room. And
they call that the furniture.
Yeah,
you need to put the furniture in the song, and it doesn't work for...
Right, because it's not universal. You might not want to describe the room because the room's not what just got described in the song.
The other thing is, songs written for film and TV, with a handful of exceptions that do make it to radio, it's unbaked. It's an ingredient to complete a movie. And the visuals without the music is an ingredient. They need each other. Right.
They together they heighten the emotion.
Pro songwriters who've been writing for radio, they bake it. They finish it. It needs to be standalone. Where without visuals, you have all your senses. So I find that people who write for radio have a very hard time writing songs for film and TV and thinking they're really good songs.
Yeah. I found that transition when I became an audio post mixer in New York after years of doing records. I was always more concerned with, is the kick drum loud enough? Can I hear the bass? And the people from the ad agencies would look at me like, that stuff just doesn't matter. All we care about is, can you hear the dialogue? Because we all know what the dialogue's saying, so we hear it better than somebody hearing it for the first time through a TV set across a room. And it took me a year to learn how to mix that way. But I think that a lot of pro writers would be serve them their careers well by taking some time and really studying the craft, because they know how to apply craft. They just know how they have to know what the new craft is. Same work ethic, different road.
It's true, but once you've been a pro and you've had songs on the radio and you made a living out of it, you've developed your style.
Yeah.
Then changing your style, it's almost like you become a craftsman as opposed to being an artist. So you really need to find your voice and find what you're good at it and stay in your lane.
Yeah.
If you can, some people can do it both, which is fine. But I would say stick to your lane when you're and do what you're great at.
Well, we are not all interested in TV music. That's right, and that's why I'm trying to cover all these angles, because Suzan's pretty darn adept at both. So you've become quite a star at the Road Rally. And people walk up to me and say, "Oh my gosh, I just spent 20 minutes with Suzan in the bar, or in the hallway, wherever." I don't want to give you the impression that you can only
I'm a lush.
They can only hang out with her in the bar, but that's where people congregate. Okay, and she does appreciate a good red wine, probably because you give out great information. You also spend a lot of time hanging out with their members until the wee hours of the morning. What are the most common things that our members seem hungriest to learn from you? Is there any sort of common thread?
Not really. I think everybody is hungry for feedback. I mean, I've got to say, I had a few, not a lot, people saying, "Will you listen and just give me feedback?" And I listened to a couple of things. I think that's what they're the most hungry for. The reason I hang out so much is to show that it's not inaccessible.
Right.
The business is accessible, especially taxi and all that. It's open. A lot of people took CDs, panelists and all that, took CDs, they listen.
Maureen came back for a second day, which was mind-blowing. We're talking about Maureen Crow, who is a very close friend of Suzan's, and Maureen was our Lifetime Achievement Award recipient this year and keynote speaker or interview, and she was just, I was listening to the interview today a couple hours before the show. Really, really good. The fact that she came back really says a lot about how the industry gets the vibe at the rally, and they want to give, which is not something you often
Absolutely.
see.
And she was interested in the other panels.
Right.
I mean,
she's still learning. And she's
still learning,
up
still there, and she loves. Here's the thing: what keeps us in the business is new music.
Yeah.
That's what sometimes people think. Oh, no, if the doors are closed. No, the doors are wide open.
Yeah.
But it's got to be damn good. It's got to be competitive. I can never say it enough. There's no junior league.
Yep.
You go straight to, you're competing. If you're pitching for pop, your stuff needs to be better than what Dr. Luke does. Because if it's as good, they're going to take Dr. Luke's. You've got to bring something that's so unique. And that's why I'm saying stick to your lane, be great at what you do well. So if you are a detailed country writer, just write the best country song.
Right.
And if writing for film and TV doesn't come naturally, don't do it. Don't do it, because there are things, it's an art. There are things that, I mean, you all did that because there's one part that comes naturally, that comes easily. There's something that's easy that feels right.
So build on your strength.
Build on your strength.
Okay. Let's go to the business side for a minute. I had a great conversation. As I said, the phones have been like just crazy busy here lately, and we've been short two staff people, so I've been grabbing some phones. Had a conversation today with a brand new member named Warren. I won't give out his last name. Really nice guy who called to ask if it was okay. He had submitted a song that was electric guitar based for a listing that asked for acoustic based indie folk. And I think he caught his own mistake and he called up and said, you know, would the screener, if they thought it was for a film and TV pitch and it was direct to supervisor, he said, if the screener thinks it's really good, will they forward it?
No.
And I said, it would have to be really exceptional, but probably not because of the timeline issue.
The reality for film and TV is the supervisor's not looking for a great song.
Right, they're
looking for something specific that's going to complete the. Now I say music is an ingredient.
Mm-hmm.
They need an ingredient,
and they need it right away.
And not only they need it right away, they need that ingredient, and it needs to be what they ask for. It's like when you're baking. If the recipe calls for salt, sugar is not going to cut it.
Right.
You need to give them salt. So if something, especially for film and TV, it can be a great song. And a couple of times I was like, wow, what a great song, but you need to learn where to pitch this.
Yeah.
This does not belong here. And I have to pass it because otherwise we're going to have supervisors that are going to think we're morons for not understanding what they need. And if we start sending them the wrong, if they ask for acoustic, we send them electric, they're never going to post with us again.
This guy was so willing to listen, and I said to him, you know what? You just began your taxi education today. You may see this as a frustrating mistake or a roadblock or whatever. Consider it your first lesson, because with every mistake, you can walk away with a lesson. So now you've made this mistake in the very first 3 or 4 days of your membership. You're never going to make that mistake again for the next 362 days.
It's funny. I kind of, there's one thing that's, I'm trying, actually, yes, that was a question. One thing that you guys need to understand is that at Taxi, you're not competing against each other. We're competing against all the other publishers. Because the supervisors who come and ask us music, they go to all the other publishers too. We're just part of the game. So your music needs to be that good. It needs to be at that level. So that's the, sometimes it feels like it's a Taxi community and it's not, no kids' gloves. No kids' gloves, where you're lucky to get feedback on everything you send, especially as listings. You're always giving something to help you improve the song, or at least just hear it. Sometimes you may just not go, okay, this person doesn't get me. It's not where I wanted to go. But at least you're getting feedback. You're in communication. You're not in your cave solo.
Right. Isolated,
writing songs. Is this any good? So you get feedback, but it needs to be at a professional level. It needs to be that good, because that's how competitive it is.
A lot of people join Taxi. We tend to get a lot of members that are 40, 50, 60 years old, and they've been doing the same thing for a very long time, and they went through raising the kids, going to college, raising the kids, nailing down a job, and now they're heading toward the golden years. And they've got the money and they've got the space, and they go out and buy $5,000 worth of studio gear, and the stuff sounds pretty darn good. And they're back into it, but they're making music that sounds dated. And I told the gentleman on the phone today, it's our job to take whatever skills you have and bring you into the modern world, because that's the world that you're competing in now. And he said something that blew my mind in a good way. I really enjoyed this conversation. He said, you know, I've got a bunch of stuff that I recorded in the 70s, and I had a publisher, and I'm not going to mention his name, and please don't mention it if you figure it out in the chat room. But I had a publisher reach out to me for my stuff. He heard it online and reached out to me and wanted to license, do buyouts for $500 a song and buy the 100% of the copyright, 100% of the master, and I would keep 100% of the writers. And I passed on it. My writing partner and I said, we're not interested. We're financially okay. We don't need the money. And I asked him, I said, was the guy's name X? And he goes, let me look. Oh, yeah, it was. It was him. And I said, I've got to tell you, I know this guy super well. He is one of the most ethical guys I've ever met in the industry. He's extremely hardworking, and he is the go-to guy for vintage music. You should have done that deal, although I can't advise you as a manager or a lawyer or anything. I can tell you if it were that deal were presented to me knowing what I know about this guy, I would have let him have the stuff. And he said, yeah, it's just, I hate to give up 100%. There's some comfort in knowing that it's sitting on the shelf up there. And I said, wouldn't it be a little more rewarding to hear it? I mean, this friend of mine who's the publisher gets stuff on major TV shows. I get emails almost like 3 times a week. Another Taxi member on a huge TV show. Not second-rate stuff, not reality shows, but big primetime broadcast network dramas. And this gentleman wasn't all that excited by that. So my final bit of advice to him was, okay, I've told you the guy is gold-plated. He's really honest, and he works very hard for his writers. If I were in your shoes, although I can't advise you on a legal or, like an agent or manager or anything, but if it were me and I knew what I know about this guy, I would take some of the stuff and let him run with it for a year to see how it goes, because you don't.
I was going to say, I would have put like a time kill switch on it.
Yeah.
So
he takes stuff, he takes it in perpetuity, but give him 5. If you've got 20, give him 5.
Well, if he's that rich, he should hire somebody. He should hire a kid to pitch his 70s thing and start his own library.
He probably doesn't. You would need a couple hundred to do that. I think this guy is 25, is my guess.
Okay.
So it's not quite big enough to start his own library, and then finding the right kid to do it. That's.
Some people are very. I mean, it's hard to judge because the emotional connection
right.
to the songs is business wise. If he's not working the song,
yeah,
it was a wrong call.
Yeah,
you should have let somebody use it, and with, as I say, with a kill switch. If after 2 years there are no results, it's like, bring back my babies.
Yeah, I don't think this guy would negotiate a reversion clause.
Oh, he wouldn't. Okay.
No, he doesn't, because he knows that it could be 2.5 years that the day comes where somebody says, do you have XYZ? He sends it, and he ends up falling in love with that writer and ends up using practically a song per episode from that same writer. Sometimes it just takes a little longer. You could say, a 3-year kill switch. But anyway, I was not frustrated so much as I just want this man. He was very nice, and we had a great conversation. I wanted him to have that experience. That I get these emails from people that are so touching that say, I've waited 30 years to get something where 1 million or 5 million people could hear it. Now it's happened and my life is complete. This guy would enjoy that. But he's also feeling so precious.
But he feels like he's written all his songs. And
yeah,
there are 25 of them.
Yeah.
You need to feel like you're the goose that lays the golden eggs.
He said his main co-writer, the only co-writer he's ever worked with, has moved to Hawaii, and he's not cranking out new stuff. But he does write guitar vocal stuff. And I said, then go on the Taxi forum and meet other collaborators. Because I know if this publisher called him numerous times, which he did, this guy's got something going on. This publisher is an A-level guy, and he does not pursue people multiple times unless they've got the great stuff. Okay, you worked on the international side of music publishing. Would a Taxi member be smart or crazy to sign material with a publisher outside of the U.S.?
You would be smart. You would be smart, because the good thing is that you don't need to actually sign straightforward publishing deals. You can do sub-publishing deals.
So if you're
you're American songwriter, you've got, let's say, Scott Free. He's got Scott Free music with ASCAP or BMI, not sure. He can if he has a publisher in Holland who really likes his song, do a sub-publishing deal. They're usually 3-year deals with an extra year of collection because there's always a year delay. Right. They don't own the copyright. The splits are anywhere between 95-5 to 75-25. It depends on advances or whatever. If they
in whose favor? I'm guessing the publisher gets the 95.
No, the other way.
Really?
Yeah.
So for 5%,
5% is usually, it's like a big names, or you already have something in the charts,
what
and
if you're
you're like,
scot-free and you're not
you're
John
scot free.
Lennon?
You know what? Do an 80-20 or 75-25 deal. They don't have any ownership.
Okay.
They only have representation. They will pitch the song locally. You can get a cut. God knows. I mean, it's any songwriter who is anybody today lived before they had their first hit in America, spent 10 years of living off of foreign royalties.
Okay, which are generally better than what you get in the US.
Which is generally better, and it's not as producer driven. Every other place is way more melody driven. The lyrics don't really matter, especially in Japan or Asia. They replace the words.
Yeah, Korea. We get listings from Korean pop companies. It's like they wouldn't care if it was Mary Had a Little
And
Lamb.
it just it needs to have its own structure. Sometimes they'll take a big chunk of the song for their local market, but it's just for that Korean version.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, just, you know what? It's better to have 50% of something than 100% of nothing.
Yes.
So yes, I think it would be smart, and it doesn't have to be like straightforward publishing. People are very used to doing sub-publishing deals.
You and I have spoken about this before, and at one point you said, "Yeah, I should reach out to some of my European contacts. Let's make that our personal."
I put a couple of listings listings from France.
Oh.
I did.
You would think I would notice this stuff.
I did put a couple of listings from France.
Anything good come in?
And I sent, and it didn't. No, because it's so many. They have so many balls in the air, but we're playing.
Right, right. Sooner or later, something will stick, and when
Yes.
it does, that publisher will come back to the well for more.
Absolutely.
So, another thing I've noticed that we get a ton of listings looking for. Yeah, where did I go? Where did I go? Okay, all kinds of listings from great music soups, publishers, record labels looking for young indie artists and bands doing everything from indie folk to indie singer-songwriter to indie pop to indie rock. Younger musicians do not join Taxi very often. We need more young, hip, indie people, whether they're bands or solo artists, because I am seeing the submission numbers on these listings that if I were their age doing the kind of music they do, I would be knocking down the door to get to these people, really high-level people, really great opportunities. But the attitude among younger people about Taxi, and it's not just Taxi. I mean, I've spoken to, I won't mention company names, but other companies that aren't necessarily competitors of ours, but demo production companies, instrument retailers, CD manufacturers, and we all have one thing in common, which is our buying demographic. Our tire kickers may be young, but the people who buy our services, no matter what they are, tend to be 35 to 65, with probably the median somewhere around late 40s, early 50s, and get all these incredible opportunities are going by the wayside. So if any of you watching the show are indie pop, indie rock, indie singer-songwriter, indie anything, and you are between the ages of 17 and 32, and you don't belong to Taxi, just trust me. Look at the listings, read them carefully, and look how many opportunities are out there. We've got label presidents that are now running listings with us, looking for this stuff, and people go, label president, I don't want to get screwed by a major label. You know what? You're never going to stay in a 4-star hotel with an indie label behind you. Not that an indie label couldn't be a stepping stone.
That's not it. I'm gonna seem a little cruel here. It's natural selection.
Okay.
If people do not use the tools that are available to them, good luck. I mean, it's because it's here. I'm not even talking about getting a deal through Taxi. You get 3 TV placements through Taxi, and you have a manager. You can build on it.
Right.
It's Yes, there are a bunch of independent people who pitch songs that will take 50% of your copyright.
Yeah.
You don't give any back end, because the problem when you're a brand new young artist, you don't want to start giving up your best things here and there, because once you get a deal, you're going to want a 360 deal.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to want to have everything, and you don't want your songs here and there wasted.
So what's your recommendation to them as regards?
I'm like, check
Taxi?
the listings. If you think that if you think that everything Taxi has is off what you do, don't join.
Right.
But if there's something, and what is great with Taxi is we still do the money back guarantee the first year.
Yeah,
join.
We don't just give the money back as for no reason, but if we don't live up to our promise, yeah, we honor that money back guarantee. I do get a little frustrated sometimes when people say, I've been following you guys for 10 years. I finally pulled the trigger and joined, and I don't see enough listings for what I do. There are a lot more country listings, there are a lot more this listing, a lot more of that. Well, you've been on our mailing list, and you can see how much is available to you. It's not like you're going to join and that genre is going to, like jazz, for instance. There's just not that many opportunities for jazz now.
Well, do you hear jazz?
No.
That's the thing. There's no use.
There's a jazz station, of course, and yes, you'll hear...
Even on TV, there isn't that much jazz used anymore.
Very limited to the occasional jazz club in a scene, or more frequently, light piano jazz in a restaurant scene. Husband and wife out celebrating their anniversary, and you hear tinkle, tinkle off in the background. That's about it.
It's... what's used on film and TV mimics life. It's unfortunate, but it's...
it is.
There's nothing we can... our job is not to change the market or make opportunities. Our job is to make the available opportunities available to our members.
Very well said. I've had that conversation probably 100 or more times, maybe 1,000.
It's like if people don't want electric guitar, we're not going to force them to record electric guitar.
But that's what I do. Well,
then get specialized in other. There are other ways. Electric guitar, then do score. Right. Learn how to score, how to do cues, and just... the market's not going to change. You need to follow the market, and
people hate to do that, or some people are reticent to do that because they feel like they're
You'd be
selling
surprised.
out.
At my workshop, I have a lot of people over the age of 50 who come for a facelift.
Really?
Yes. They're like, I know my songs are dated, and I live in today. I enjoy today's music.
Wow.
I'm not sure what it is that I do.
Are those Taxi members that go to your workshop that came to that realization at the rally, maybe? Because we have a hard time getting people to realize they might need a facelift. They're talented, but they're not contemporary.
It's actually, it was off of one of the TV show I did with you.
Oh, okay.
And when I had said, I say it all the time, we're in the hip hop era.
Yeah.
It's all the structures. It's based on hip hop. It's blues is gone, and we've got people. It went away recently.
Country. Gosh, the other day we were running a listing, and I was hanging out with the guys writing up the listings. We were all brainstorming together, and we were working on country, but we needed edgy country for a major TV show. And there was so much hip hop, country with a hip hop beat, and you've got to believe that Nashville was the very last place on the planet Earth that would ever say, "Why don't we bring these two elements together?" But it works incredibly well.
That's not it. Is that you've got a whole generation, the kids that grew up
with hip hop.
With hip hop,
yeah.
That's through the 90s. Started in the 80s, through the 90s. No matter what color you are, it's been the dominating style of music, still is. Yeah, so the fact that now you've got kids grew up, that's all they know. If it's not syncopated, they're bored. There's a playfulness with the syncopated.
That's a chapter header in a book. If it's not syncopated, they're bored. See, little gems always come out of you. I'm telling you. All right, let's take some audience questions. Okay, guys, fire some off here, and we will have Suzan answer them. I gave Tax a year and didn't renew because I couldn't easily retool arrangements. Write new stuff.
You know, the thing is, I don't know where you're based, but go and find a kid that you can work with.
On the Taxi forum, it almost doesn't matter where you are.
And just get beats and like team up with younger people, because the fact that you're not current sonically today doesn't cancel all the stuff that you're good at. The fact that you can write songs, that you can come up with like chord progression, and you can arrange things. So team up with a kid and...
Yeah, we see it happening. We do. It's just not happening enough. Oh gosh, somebody said something. So when listing indicates a reference song or band, is that the clue to the era of that genre the publisher is looking for? Yes, more often than not.
The clue's at the top, contemporary.
Yeah, it'll almost
retro. Yeah, it's contemporary, classic. The style is given.
Co-writing is the new black. Thanks, Amanda. I would say pop, soft rock. Oh, that's somebody just answering the kind of thing they do. What are contemporary issues that songs are reflecting? And I'm assuming they mean topical issues. That's a good question. Are there topics, lyric topics that are dated, or are there lyric topics that are hot, fresh, and contemporary? Or is it still relationships said in a newer, better way?
Well, relationships, you got to go deeper. You can't... Okay, things you can't be, but you can't be socially. If you're a girl, you can't be needy. Okay. Nobody likes a needy girl, but they don't like you at school if you're needy. No, it's not just in songs.
Right.
It's socially a needy girl. A girl is vulnerable, yes, needy, no. Weak, no.
Empowerment songs. Female empowerment, we see that all the time.
Things that are dated. Angry chicks. We're done. We had like 20 years of angry chicks. Started with Alanis Morissette, ended with Kelly Clarkson. Even Kelly Clarkson's not angry anymore. We're done. I think the whole like chicks woke up and we're like, why are these women all angry? It's like socially the realities
Were they
change.
Just copying Alanis?
No, it was like because until Alanis, the girl's anger was never expressed. When that thing opened and it was okay for chicks to be angry, they're like, wait a second, I'm angry too.
Right.
And we had 20 years of female anger.
Bra burning on the radio. Okay, so empowerment we know works really well. Relationships are always going to be there. I would say, if I had to guess, 75% of all music is about falling in love, falling out of love. But if you're going back to the anger thing and vulnerability, if you're going to fall out of love and you're getting hurt, you're going to bounce back in the same song.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I was hurt, but screw him.
But it doesn't have to be that angry.
Right.
It can be hurt. It can be a lot of...
I'm going to rise.
I'm like thinking, there was a lot of sex songs in the last 5 years. That kind of is still around because it's kind of, for the longest time, only black people were having sex in songs.
Oh, glad you.
And white people were just miserable and mopey. So it kind of rebalanced with Justin Timberlake, who brought sexy back, and there are a lot of more songs. I remember one day I was like, "Oh my God!" I was like,
"Only you would know. You notice stuff that other people just miss." You're right.
I was like, for years, over like the 90s, the grunge came and the guys got depressed. And you're like, come on. And meanwhile, the hip hop guys were like,
Yeah.
okay. It's so sex is there, and I think there's more liberated. I'm still surprised by lyrical content because I feel like, oh, I've already everything's been said, and then Iggy Azalea comes with, "I'm gonna love you until you hate me."
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what a great lyric, and I'm gonna show you what's really crazy. I was like, oh my god, this is the crazy chick owning being crazy.
Right.
How many times you've heard dinner conversations? Oh my god, dude, that chick's crazy, crazy, crazy. Song hadn't been written about it. Happy somebody wrote it.
Suzan, are you making Michael blushing? Yes, on occasion she does, but I like when she makes me blush. Let's see. Advice, tips on juggling work and family. That's a question we've never had here before.
Juggling work and family is a tight schedule.
But it can be done. Go to, I believe it is the October issue of the Taxi Transmitter newsletter. Go to taxi.com. In the upper menu bar, it says news. Pull it down, go to the current newsletter, and go back an issue or two. And sorry, I've got a tickle in my throat. I'm going to go grab a lozenge maybe and have Suzan take some questions because this is going to turn into a major coughing thing. But there's a gentleman, I'm just totally drawing a blank on his name. He's so awesome. But this guy's like, something big, like a rocket scientist. He's in aerospace, something. And this guy still finds time to do a lot of music and get forwards and sign deals. We have several of our successful members that do find the time. You know what? Here's the difference. They don't come home and watch TV. They come home, have dinner with their families, give the kids a pat in the head, maybe help them with a little homework. And as soon as the kids are taking their bath, the husband goes off into his little studio and he goes into his man cave for 3 hours every night. Just 3 hours.
It's a tight schedule.
But it's doable, and you know what? You don't have to be all or nothing at all. What if you just got one placement next year? Just one placement to validate you and know that you're on the right path. Then you've got the impetus to try and work a few more hours and work a little harder the next year. Instead of playing golf on Saturday, you're not going to be a pro golfer, but you could become somebody who gets a lot of film and TV placements by spending that Saturday in the studio. So it's a matter of choice.
With babies, but with the first baby, you know what? Forget it. It's like the first 6 months. It's you don't know your own name. It's like there's just too much of a shuffle.
Yeah.
But once you get into a routine, you need to take the time, and it's true. If you're a lyricist, half hour every morning, just do your free writes, and schedule 3 days a week, not even every day. If you've got 3 days a week where you take 3 hours somewhere to just write songs.
Yeah, you're making
and
progress.
Also,
you're doing something.
Once you have a kid, you can't just like sit around and wait for inspiration. You need to go and write. And you know what? You may have a full month where every song sucks. You need to push through it. The bad songs are necessary to the process. Yeah. But you want to go in because one day, once all the sucky songs are out of your system, it's going to hit you and you're going to write that song.
I read for an hour every morning, almost without fail. And I read motivational books or business books or marketing books. And so many of the topics we talk about on this show are things that I've learned from those books. I will literally put a tab on the page and say Taxi TV. And I can take one idea and riff for 90 minutes on that idea, and the members inevitably end up really liking the show. So that's the same thing for you guys looking for an inspiration for a song. Read a chapter of, a great novel. Probably not like a CIA spy novel. Maybe The Fault in Our Stars. Read The Fault in Our Stars. You're going to find a sentence, a line, a paragraph or a scene in that's going to inspire something because it's relationships, it's overcoming, it's all that stuff that works.
I want to answer to Shay. Writer's block, there's no such thing. You're free to write sucky songs, And when the sucky song needs to come, there is no way it's going to come. So just write the sucky songs. Write the sucky songs, you'll get to the good ones. If you stop writing because you hate the fact that it's a sucky song, you're going to get, excuse my French, very constipated with the song. So just let it out. Nobody died of writing a bad song.
It just scrolled off the page, but somebody said, Suzan, talk about contrast in lyrics. I think it said lyrics. Definitely said talk about contrast.
Contrast in lyrics. Well, not sure how to. I wish I had some lyrics here that I could. Talk about contrast in lyrics. I'm not sure what to talk about. I mean, it's.
I mean, usually contrast is thought of between verses and choruses to make the
verses and chorus to make. I mean, there's the musical contrast, and lyrically, you want things to articulate. If everything's going in the same direction and there is no, it's really cause effect. You need to wind it so when the chorus comes, it's huge. I have been so inarticulate. I did not do a good job with that answer.
No, you get one per show because usually you're incredibly. You know, I right before the show, I found out that one of our members, a gentleman named Steve Adamsick, who's had a couple of placements in really big shows lately. He's 80 years old and starting to get placements in shows. He just passed away, and his brother called to say, I'm now handling his account. I've got power of attorney. So, Steve, we will miss you because we're so proud of you at 80 years old. We've got another member that I'm actually working on a passenger profile for the newsletter, and his name is Peter Sevo Sr. He is 90 years old and starting to get like 3 or 4 placements a year in big shows, huge shows.
That is, so the production is very important. It's
Love You Until You Hate Me is contrasting. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a great example.
And it's such a new way of saying it. Is verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus a good format? Oh no. Verse, pre-chorus, chorus, and your pre-chorus has to be a hook. Otherwise, it's going to be dated. Black Genie.
Amy C. or NEC says the bad song killed me. Working title. No, the people that listen to your bad song probably killed you. I just signed a deal with Sony. I have to buy 10 CDs a month for the next 3 years. Yeah, that's the kind of deal we're talking about, Scott. Nobody should know your age by listening to your music. Good point.
Okay, Jim, the bridge is not contrast. The bridge is perspective. It's what hasn't been said in the rest of the song. It is the what if, what was, what could have been. It's the perspective. It's the bridge. You can't say what you said in the verse or chorus in the bridge.
Fun songs. How Can I Miss You When You Won't Go Away? That sounds like a country song. Stephen Giles says also hook, pre-hook, hook, hook structure.
That's exactly what it is. Pre-chorus is the bit before the chorus. It used to be just a lift, and now it is a hook that has a lift that takes the chorus even harder. And it's also the glue between the verse and the chorus.
Somebody just asked, where did it go? What's the next trend? Zach Nelson. Hi, Zach. Wants to know, what's the next trend? Any predictions? Ooh, that's a good one. But you know, we are at that time of year where predictions are mandatory.
It's... well, as far as pop music goes, Deep House is coming with bands like Clean Bandit.
And Deep House has been around, or well, House has been around forever. But
Deep House has been around since 1989, 90, yeah.
Okay, so that's 20 years.
That's
or something like that.
30 years.
Yeah.
35 years.
No, not from 1990 to now.
90,
Would be like 25.
Yeah, 25 years.
And it figures because the kids making it are 25.
It's yes.
So they grew up with it.
They grew up with it. Please define AABC. I wish we had more songs. Let's play that Scott song again, since it's the only one. I think.
See if I have any batteries left. I think I do. Okay, and then we gotta bug out.
Well, I know you love me. You show me all the time.
This is AB.
The way you hold
C.
my hand in yours, you lock your eyes with mine.
D.
Tell all my girlfriends
A.
that you like romantic stuff.
B.
You like some fragrant candles low.
C.
And turn the music up.
D.
And when it's late at night, you put
Then it goes.
a smile on my face. You know just how to
You see, the lines don't repeat.
So don't you think it's time you open up and make it real? Give it those three little words. Tell me how you feel. So come on and say it. If you wanna say it.
AA.
Why don't you just say it? Let me hear you say it. Yeah,
This is
you
an
wanna
AAAB.
say it. Why don't you just say it? So come on and say it.
There's like a little lift.
You send me roses, not just on Valentine's. You like to buy me lingerie, your black lace perfect size. You get pillows fluffy, ready for my pretty head. You wanna make things special when you leave.
Okay, I want to sell. I want to sell Adam.
Okay.
Adam, what do you have going on your songs?
Adam,
Are you pitching? Do you have contacts? Do you have people?
Adam says, I've been debating taxi for 2 years. Sell me. So
I'm asking him a question. Adam, I hope you're there. Answer.
There is a little delay, so I'm sure we'll hear from him.
So it's basically if you have your people and that you have your own connections and you're pitching and you're in the game, you don't need taxi. I mean,
we could be ancillary education for you, but you don't need us for the contacts.
Yeah, but if you don't have people and you're in your home debating, you're wasting time. Because
we just we had a ton of people, like I said, last Tuesday had signed up. I think it was end of the year, New Year's resolution stuff, and so many of them said, "I've been watching you guys for 10 years." And I answered the phone. Several people said that to me. I've been watching you guys for as much as 10 years, 10 wasted years.
That's the thing. How badly do you want to succeed, and how much do you believe in yourself? Because I find that people get in their own way more than the industry or the other people get in their way.
You know what? Go to forums with an S, forums.taxi.com, and scroll down and look for success stories. It's a tiny little fraction, probably like 10% of our members are actually on the forums with any sort of regularity, maybe even less than 10%. And even fewer report their success stories, but go to forums with an S, forums.taxi.com, and look at what they put up there in their own unedited words. We don't delete anything, we don't enhance anything, we don't touch it. Unless somebody is like doing something malicious to another member, everything stays in that forum. It's a great community, by the way. Guys, for those of you who are regulars on the forum, please chime in and tell him the forum's great thing and that the success stories are all real.
So Adam, you won song contest. Unfortunately, that doesn't really. I mean, I hope you got some cash prize for it. But if you don't have people that is an interface between you and the industry, taxi is a place. You'll get the feedback saying, you know what, you need to improve this in order for us to be able to forward. Because once again, we need to keep the balance of sending people great stuff so they come back.
And on target. Yeah, and don't expect instant miracles. You're going to make mistakes in the beginning. It's going to take you 3 months, 6 months, maybe a year or more. We see this. The people that hang in the longest really learn the drill. And then I look, there's, if you Google six-figure taxi members, you will find a video on Ustream and YouTube with two gentlemen named Stephen Baird and Chuck Henry. Watch that video. These guys had nothing. Nothing, I tell you. They couldn't rent an apartment or couldn't, make the rent on the apartment. And now they're making significant incomes. It's not going to happen for everybody, but the music varies. Their ability to pitch correctly varies. Their work ethic varies. But for people that are able to put it all together, they find success. It's legit. I personally know someone who makes a great publisher contact, who made a great publisher contact deal through Taxi. That's why I've decided to give it a shot. Yeah, it's not just a shot. It's a commitment that I'm going to do something. We are the vehicle. And you know what? I want to say
Adam's music is great. I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah. I get really frustrated. We've got several competitors out there. One in particular that I'm thinking of that they will take a listing apparently from anybody. They don't vet the companies, and you know that we vet our companies very carefully, and that we really dig deep to get the right information from them to present to you in the form of a listing. Well, we see listings from competitors, so-called competitors, that just say, looking for happy songs for movies, I saw one the other day, looking for like happy songs for movies for a major film studio, $15,000 sync fees from unknown bands. I don't know any unknown bands that are getting $15,000. You'd have to be a baby band on a large indie that's starting to take off before you could get that kind of money and have somebody negotiating for you that knew what they were doing. Most baby bands for a feature film, if they get lucky and get something in, are going to get $3K, maybe $5K on a good day.
$3 to $5K. It's not even that. It's really everything leads to something else.
Yeah.
It's
But I knew the listing was
BS. 15 grand is not going to be for anybody. You've got to be a name band. You've got to have a solid following.
But the reason they ran that listing is they just wanted to get a bunch of submissions because they only live on their submission fees. So they're taking listings from companies that are lying about these listings. I know when I look at the numbers and the fact that the listing is 1 or 2 sentences with no actual description other than we're looking for happy songs for $15K, that's BS. And people submit to that because they go, I've got a happy song. It's so general. Everybody's got a happy song. I want to take a shot at winning $15K. The listing was BS. You're submitting to air. One of my writers is on the countdown I place through Taxi. I don't really understand that, but okay. Does the LP long player concept exist anymore in a significant way?
Well, kids love it. I actually bought a record player for Shelly's daughter for Christmas.
And her daughter's like in junior high.
She's 17.
17. She's a junior.
She's
in high
a senior, actually. She's going to college next year. And she loved it. She's like record player. They love records, but it's more a novelty. It doesn't replace their MP3. It's something on top of it.
I wish kids would listen with both earbuds. Frustrates me when I see kids listening with just one earbud.
Oh, rhyme schemes. They're very important that they should be soft rhymes. Hard rhyme schemes make a song feel dated, makes it feel like Broadway musicals, because it takes away from the conversational value. And always favor internal rhymes so you can keep the rhythm, and try to keep the rhymes a little apart. Maybe A, B, A, B, rhyme scheme-wise. We've used a lot of letters for different things today.
Yeah.
But when it's like it's good. This is very soft lines, Scott and FM. I was like hoping there would be. Yeah, you don't wanna keep the rhymes too close to each other because it doesn't sound credible.
Yeah, it sounds old-fashioned and corny.
Yeah.
All right, I want to wrap this up because we've gone an hour and 34 minutes, and I want Suzan to give you. Oh, we're giving away a half an hour Skype session with Suzan. So I'm going to run my finger with my eyes closed up and down the chat room, and whoever Suzan says I landed on, we will call out your name and then email Sophia@taxi.com. And Sophia is spelled Soffia. Sophia@taxi.com. She's watching this show, so she knows who the winner's going to be, or who the winner will be. And you're going to get a half an hour with this woman all to yourself, and incredible. So here we go. I'm going to run it for a minute. Boom. Who'd I land on?
Transform Com.
Okay, Transform Com 1. Transform Com 1. You need to email Sophia@taxi.com. Congratulations for winning a half an hour with the genius. She is amazing. Seriously, put me on a desert island with her for a week sometime, and I'd be a happy guy because I'd be learning a lot. All right. Also mention the dates and where they should go, the website to sign up if they want to do your course.
Okay, my website, and I'm actually having a holiday special, $50 off.
Nice. It's a 6-week workshop.
It's a 6-week workshop. It's starting Monday. The live ones are starting Monday, January 19th, 7:30 p.m. Wednesday, January 21st, 11:30 a.m. And the Skype ones, it's either one-on-ones or I bundle people, but I like to know that they're compatible. I had a few where I didn't care, people came in, but I realized that when I bundle the right people together, it's
better chance of them collaborating.
They
and they're all learning from the same information rather than a rap guy.
It makes it more fun.
Yeah.
I did have a country writer and a pop writer, Canadian English, and we had a great time.
Cool.
It was it's more a personality thing than musical style.
And I know you well enough to know that you get to know these people on a very personal level.
Yes, you have to. At one point, you're like, "What are you trying to say?" So
what's the web address?
It's SUZANKOC.com.
Suzan Koch, and Koch is missing the H.
Yes.
It's got a squiggly little line underneath the C that makes it sound like KOCH, but it's SUZANKOC.com. Songwriters Rendezvous. I
want to answer that one question. In a relationship between the artist and the producer, who is the boss? It's a collaboration. Nobody's the boss. It's whoever has the better idea. You need to let your ego outside. The ego's in the pudding. It's the result that counts. Doesn't matter who did what. It's like you want to make beautiful babies. You don't know whose
genetic material
it is.
Well, on that happy note, thank you for watching. I will be back next Monday, which have a great New Year's Eve and a great New Year,
Happy
you guys.
New Year,
yeah,
yes.
2015. Do you believe we're there already? And Suzan, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I adore you. I love having you on the show, and I love that these guys get to learn so much from you. And we will see you next week. I can't remember. I actually have a topic picked out for the show, and it's going to be something cool. I just can't remember what the heck it was. So with that, I bid you adieu, which I don't say very well. And Happy New Year, you guys. Bye-bye.
Happy New Year.